What's up YouTube, Dinosaurs Games, and this is it. This is the last day of 2017, and I'm bringing you, in my personal opinion, the top 5 decks of 2017, and I'll explain why, and we'll take them down from 5 to 1. This year has been a roller coaster for Yu-Gi-Oh! Obviously, it's the second year of having booster sets where you get a super in every pack, and no more ultis or ghosts, apart from OTS packs. It's also been the year where we've received the biggest change for a long time, and that is the introduction to Link Summoning, which limits our extra summon kind of plays, which some people at the start were very skeptical of and thought it would ruin the game, and in turn it actually hasn't had as big of an effect as we would have expected to have, because there are still decks and there's still ways of adapting to kind of manage your decks and play them the way you want. It did kill some certain decks, but it's also improved others, and that is why, you know, we are still here, we're doing what we're doing, and next year is going to be massive for Link Summoning and the Link mechanic in the TCG, and I'll be bringing you my personal top 5 cards that I am looking forward to in the first half of 2018, tomorrow, starting with our first day of 2018. But let's say goodbye to the top 5 decks, in my personal opinion, of 2017. Some of these will be being ushered into 2018 with us, and of course that first ban list of the year might change these completely from the offset and throughout. So let's get cracking with my personal top 5 Yu-Gi-Oh! Decks for 2017. So, at number 5, I go with Trickstars. Now, obviously, the reason Trickstars are at number 5 is because they have the ability of making you lose the game before you've even drawn a card, or before you've even really started. You don't get a turn. Now, the reason of that is a mixture of these cards here. So we start off with, obviously, Trickstar Light Stage, which was the field spell that searched everything and got stuff going, plus its secondary effect of dealing with opponents' back row should you need it. You've then got your Lily Bell here, which many people play at 1, if at none. You special summon this card, and it obviously gets to attack directly, and that again lets you chain off even more. You've obviously got your Lycrus, which was your most damaging card in the deck, which when you could special summon it by returning cards. And the worst thing was, the return of the card was not cost as well. So you could chain 2, if not 3, Lycrus to 1 card or 1 Trickster monster you had, bringing it back to hand. We've then got the one Cadinia. Now this was your searcher of the deck that pretty much searched out every Trickstar card that comboed off very nice with everything else. And then on top of that, it burnt your opponent when they activated spells and traps. Obviously Lycrus did it every time you drew a card, comboing off with the whole Trickstar archetype of being able to make you draw more cards. Obviously, the Trickstar Holy Angel was their main link monster. Very rarely went into it, but it was still incredibly useful for the deck to lean it up. And of course, the most important card, or one of the most important cards in the deck, which may see a change on the ban list, and that was Trickstar Reincarnation. The fact that it's also generic if you wanted to play in other decks, but on top of that, the banishing your whole entire hand before you even got a chance to do anything, and then making you draw more, the fact it wasn't once per turn as well, and it was searchable, just made it a huge pain in the ass to deal with. Yes, Trickstars, to my knowledge, haven't won any of the major events throughout the year, and you could also put True Dracos here if you wanted to as well. The reason I've put Trickstars is for the pure fact of how, when they went off, they were very damaging. The fact that you could lose the game before you've even had a turn, to me, was one of the most powerful things that this deck could possibly do. Next up, in 4th position, we have, of course, the Pendulum Magicians. Now, I loved the Pendulum Magicians. I'm a Magician player through and through, like Dark Magicians and stuff like that. This actually won me my first winner mat at Euros, and that was before the Link Summoning came in. This is one of the decks that could still strive under the Link Summoning, and of course, coming into the new year with the Metaphors Electrium, if it doesn't take a big hit, can still be incredibly powerful. On top of its powerful trap card of Time Pendulum Graph, the monsters made up a huge amount of damage and kind of disruption in your turn. The fact it had both monster and pendulum effects through destruction, and the scales were level 1s to 8, there was a lot that it could do. Purple Poison being a natural Pendulum Magician card or a Pendulum monster out to anti-spell fragrance, that when it's destroyed it pops back row, not to mention its 2100 booty, which kind of disrupted a lot of opponents' plays. The 1200 boost during the attack phase as well was also very damaging. White Ring Magician saw lesser play, but it was still very nice to kind of help make your Zark plays if you wanted to. But of course, also add a level 4 synchro to it as well. Your Astrograph Sorcerer, which acted as a 2500 beta hand trap in the game, and then allowed you to replace any of your destroyed Pendulum monsters where you're comboing off using their own effects to destroy themselves. You could then combo off with Astrograph Sorcerer. making them an incredibly powerful deck. Yes, they did do quite a lot towards the end of the year before Spirals came out, and they'll probably do a lot in the start of the new year when Spirals, if Spiral gets hit. It was kind of the deck that replaced Zoo for the period that we had between Zoo and Spiral, but it also does quite a lot, and it can still be very, very useful in the future. Double Iris Magician, always helpful to search you out your trap, which is one of the most important cards in the deck. And then on top of that, being able to double any battle damage. Harmonized Magician, your one card, rank 4 or level 8 synchro, is incredibly powerful in the deck and kind of gets the deck going a little bit faster. And then finally, your Black Fang Magician, halving your opponent's monster's attack, and of course reviving a Dark Spellcaster from the graveyard. The fact that he's also generic has made me, or allowed me, to produce the Dark Magician, Pendulum Magician deck that you guys love and you sometimes see before you. So that's at number 4. Number 3, no real surprise on this one, for me is Dinos. Now Dinos obviously did incredibly well. The fact that they started off budget, coming from the start deck, but then the fact that they won Worlds as well, there's no reason why this deck itself should not be in the top 5. And the reason it's at 3rd, when you see 1 and 2, you'll completely understand. This deck winning Worlds kind of does itself justice and deserves to be in the list without question. Ultimate Conductor Tyranno being such a relatively easy card to get on board and incredibly powerful in its destruction, flipping and whole interaction with the deck was incredibly powerful, and you know, one of the best boss monsters in my personal opinion to kind of hit the ground or hit the game itself. Miscellaneousaurus, the protection effect was incredibly powerful, and the synergy it had with the rest of the deck to be able to be banished for your Dracaleo to go into your DeLong, or of course going into your Ultimate Conductor Tyranno. Now, yes, the deck did get a bit of a hit during the ban list, and that was because of its performance at Worlds, but it also was an incredibly powerful deck on top of that as well. It has taken a step back towards the end of 2017, but we could see a resurgence in 2018, which would be very, very nice to see. And of course, we have Soul Eating Oviraptor, which searches you pretty much everything you need in your deck, and then can obviously help you combo off by destroying more dinosaurs and extending from there. Likewise, with your Petite Pteranodon and of course your Baby Ceratosaurus, the baby's effects with Diagram, they had reasons to be popped in hand and field, and of course with your other cards like Soul Eating Oviraptor and Ultimate Conductor Tyranno, they also had more destruction effects to go along with it. Then finally for the dinosaurs was your Dracaleo. Now of course you could put DeLong of the Yang Zing in here, but obviously Dracaleo was the card that kind of has been around for a long time, and when this deck came out it got a bit more notice again, and this was just your ability to high speed Rishambara for game, or of course DeLong, an incredibly disrupt your opponent, especially with Lithogasm as well, so you could easily put Lithogasm in here. That was kind of the main win con with that, and the fact that it comboed off in Zoo as well was probably something that made it a little bit quicker to be hit on the ban list. If it didn't share the same attribute as Zodiacs, then maybe Lithogasm might still be around at maybe 1 or 2, but regardless, it was still incredibly powerful, and Dinosaurs winning Worlds definitely puts this deck at number 3. Number 2, again, no surprise here. This will probably be the one that divides most people as to who should be 1 and 2, but my opinion at 2, we have, of course, Spirals. Never have I ever seen in my playing days a card be released that changes a deck and a meta by so much. This deck went from a fun deck to kind of play around with to the release of Double Helix and turned it into the most amazing, powerful, overrated deck ever that I've seen for a long time. Now, obviously, the best thing that Konami did with this deck was making Double Helix and Ultra. If it was a secret, my god, the prices would be crazy. Regardless, Double Helix was the one card that completely unlocked the deck and turned it from an okay deck into an absolute meta-destructive, meta-dominating deck. And obviously, it saw out the end of 2017 with a massive flourish. The unfortunate side of this, or in some people's opinion, the fortunate side of this, is I would be very surprised if Spiral survived the next ban list. You've got your master plan that can sometimes be a brick for you, but if you do not open up with this card, you have pretty much got game, because by being able to link these guys into a decode tour card, getting your master plan to give you 2 more Spirals, and on top of that giving you a search, made the deck incredibly powerful. Comboing off with, of course, your sleeper, which could then be, I don't know how or why, or even if Konami missed this kind of mechanic, how do you allow a card that can destroy 2 cards during either player's turn become untargetable and indestructible with Last Resort? That, in my personal opinion, is one busted play. Drone, allowing you to see your opponent's top decks to kind of get your play started. Your quick fix with its continuous loop, as long as you overlay it with SPYRAL Super Agent. And of course, obviously, your searching, not once per turn. And finally, your SPYRAL Super Agent, your James Bond, your Jason Bourne of the deck. Incredibly powerful card, pop in your opponent's back row. Yes, you obviously do play SPYRAL Tough as well, but Super Agent being the main core card in the deck, helping you get your plays off and your link plays off. There's no question that that deck should be at number 2, in my personal opinion. And the reason it is a number 2 is because of this deck at number 1 was incredibly powerful, incredibly busted. And the reason it's at number 1 is not only because of its pure dominance from start to finish, the whole fact that it actually survived multiple ban lists plus format changes. And that is, of course, Zodiac. Now, Zodiac survived for so long. I think the first ones they dropped out in Raging Tempest, a long time ago. I believe it was the start of the year or just before that. Yes, even if they were a deck from 2016, they still dominated the majority of 2017, and take nothing away from it. This was the deck of 2017. Dryden with its detach and pop, Zodiac Broadball with its search, Chuck and Iron with its graveyard revival, Tiger Mortar with its material of reattaching, and your Ball Bow even as your stepping stone, and of course obviously your Hammercon. Finishing off with your Zodiac Barrage, which kind of lets you cycle back and get you a monster from deck. This deck was incredibly powerful, and you know there was very little you could do about it. The reason it's at number 1, on top of its dominance, was the fact that it actually it survived one ban list when their rat was hit. It survived the second ban list when they hit Norden, and they were able to adapt and abuse from there onwards as well. And then they thought it was going to take a step back during Link, and my God, were some people wrong. This deck was still able to absolutely dominate both in OCG and TCG and carry the deck all the way through until Konami finally went, nope, no more Dryden, no more Broad Ball, that's it, the deck is done. You cannot abuse the deck the way you want to anymore. So that's my number 1. There's nothing more that needs to be said about Zodiac. Some people were very glad to see the end of them and the back of them. Me personally, I was quite happy to see the meta become more diverse, which it kind of did with your Pendulum Magicians from the start. Or at the start, and then of course as soon as Zodiac came out, as soon as SPYRALs came out, we then had another dominating deck to kind of deal with and handle. So that is it for my top 5 decks of 2017. Let me know what you think your top 5 are, or what your top 5 decks are of 2017. Oh, take out the display. Your top 5 decks are of 2017, and let me know your thoughts on 2018. How do you think the meta is going to go? Do you think it's going to change a lot? Do you see any of the new decks like Mech Knights doing anything for the deck, for the meta? Do you see any of these surviving? Do you feel that by the end of 2018, maybe the middle of 2018, we'll see all of these decks obsolete and no longer used? Obviously, Zoo are already unused. In a way, SPYRALs are coming to the end of their cycle. Dinosaurs could make a resurgence, will be very interesting. Trickstars might get a nice little hit in the ban list. And of course, Pendulum Magicians hopefully will stay around long enough for us to have enough fun with Electrium and kind of play it that way. Anyway, that is it for the end of 2017. It's been another great year for Zephyr Wargames, and we thank you all for following us throughout this year. We do have loads coming up in 2018, especially our 2-year celebration, which is happening from the 14th of January to the 21st January. Yes, there is a whole week's long celebration, and my God, do you not want to miss it? It will be amazing. So, thank you all for watching for this year. I hope you have a very good New Year's Eve, and New Year's Day, New Year's night, and we'll see you all guys tomorrow when I bring you the top 5 cards of the first half of 2018. So, thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, share. Stick with us, guys. We are going to be bringing so much more for you guys and giving back so much more to you guys. So, thanks for watching. As always, guys, have a very good New Year's and happy dueling. If you like that video, why not check out our other videos available? We've got more deck profiles, pack openings, and of course duels. And don't forget to click on the most important button of all, that subscribe button, right in the bottom left hand corner.